Random thought. This is the best possible period, right? For guitar production. This is the best possible period. You've got Squire putting out guitars that are as good as like an early 90s made in Mexico Fender, okay? You got Epiphone putting out custom shop standard Les Paul customs with the fucking Gibson open book headstock. This is the best period for guitars. These kids don't know how good they have it. When I was young, I had a Strat copy, right? Fucking razor like frets, okay? And the action had to be probably about 5 miles up high off the fretboard. And I was happy to have it, but it sounded like shit and it played like shit, okay? The only reason I kept playing and stayed at it is because I loved guitars. I still love guitar. This is the best possible time for guitar production. Why? Because the East is calling. You got brands like Eastman, you got brands like Edwards. I have a couple made in Japan, Les Pauls. I love them. I love them. And the American companies are taking wind of this. They're understanding this, and they're upping their game. Now Gibson is kind of a clusterfuck. Of course, I'm making a video, so here comes the fucking police and the fucking fire people. But Gibson, what they're trying to do is be a boutique company, right? Because I played one of their standards, and it played almost as good as the next Epiphone that was comparable to it, hanging on the rack right next to it. So they want you to go custom shop to actually get a real deal Les Paul that feels and looks and plays like a Les Paul. That's my opinion. But I'll say this, if you're not a snob, the Epiphone is the way to go. I don't even know why I'm making this. A lot of my friends are musicians. Maybe they might find value in this. But this is the best possible time for guitar productions. These kids have no idea. When I was a kid, we didn't have Jazz Masters at a cheap level. Now they've got them. We didn't have Jaguars at a cheap level. We didn't have Mustangs at a cheap level. We had nothing at a cheap level that was off the beaten path, of Strat, Tele, or Les Paul. We had nothing. This is a renaissance. I'm happy to all the vintage snobs out there. I'll be real. The guitars from back then don't play as good as now. So save your money and get a cheap guitar now and soup it up and make it yours. There's something beautiful about people who take a guitar and make it theirs. I always love meeting people who have a guitar and it's not exactly some, $5,000, $6,000 guitar, which personally I wouldn't spend more than $1,500 on a guitar. That's my line. I wouldn't. It's a piece of wood with strings on it with some magnets in it. But there's always something so refreshing about meeting someone who bought like a made in Mexico Strat or a Tele or whatever it is, and they souped it up and it's now their personal fucking favorite. There's something about that I really, really enjoy.